So, thank you. Today, let's call to order the regular St. Louis Local Development Company meeting. We're in person today, in the boardroom, of SLDC. Let's have a roll call, please.
Okay. Director Rabu,
Aye. Here.
Director Peoples,
Here.
Director Gleet,
Here.
Director McCreary,
Here.
Director Sites,
Here.
Chair Gilbert.
Here. Do we have anybody else? Nope. Okay. That's it. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the November 14th regular meeting. Those were provided. Does anyone have any changes? Corrections? If not, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved, Director Gleet.
Is there a second?
Second, Sites.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded. Would you poll the board, please?
Yes. Director Rabu,
Aye.
Director Peoples,
Aye.
Director Gleet,
Aye.
Director McCreary,
Aye.
Director Sites,
Aye.
Chair Gilbert.
Aye. Minutes have been approved. Director Rabu needs a copy of the agenda and the things. Do you have some handouts? Thank you. Okay. Moving forward, the next item on the agenda is Resolution 24 LDC 15, approving and adopting our goals for 2025 investment in economic development activity. Zach, that.
Okay, actually Zach had to leave early, so I'm going to go ahead and
Right.
handle that. So anyway, the executive summary, the resolution asks that the board to approve and adopt certain goals for the LDC's fiscal year 2025 and investment in economic development activity in the city of St. Louis. Background, and this is a little bit boring, but anyway, the U.S. Small Business Administration requires that any funds generated from 504 loan activity by a certified development company, CDC, remaining after payout of staff and overhead expenses must be retained by the CDC as a reserve for future operations or invested in other local economic development activity in the CDC's area of operation. The SBA also encourages CDCs to develop a results-based strategy for making and evaluating such investments. The LDC invests in economic development activity in the city of St. Louis through its non-SBA 504 loan programs that are funded with Economic Development Administration, EDA funds, and we usually call that our EDA loans, defederalized EDA funds, and First Bank funds. The loan programs are primarily designed to assist small businesses grow and to create new jobs for area residents. During the fiscal year that ended in June 30, 2024, the LDC board approved and funded 2 EDA loans totaling $200,000 and 1 First Bank loan in the amount of $50,000. The LDC board also approved another EDA loan in the amount of $200,000 that funded in the 2025 fiscal year. The projects funded by these loans are expected to result in the creation or retention of approximately 13 full-time equivalent jobs over the next 2 to 3 years. The borrowers will be required on a periodic basis to submit information regarding the number of jobs created in connection with these loans. For the remainder of the fiscal year 2025, staff recommends that the LDC set a goal of approving and funding at least 4 non-SBA 504 loans in the amounts general ranging from $30,000 to $150,000 and totaling at least $400,000 in the aggregate. These loans should result in the creation or retention of at least 1 full-time equivalent job for every $35,000 in loan proceeds received. The requested action approval of this resolution is requested. Do you want me to read the resolution, or Laura, do you want to read it, or?
No,
Okay.
I think it's here. It just.
Yeah, it is.
is
It's
the
given.
Official resolution of what you specifically have just talked about. So I think we're fine.
Okay.
Are there any questions with regard to this? I think we do this every year as a part of the program to sort of, set a goal for trying to do this much. Hopefully, we'll be able to do that this year. We did some this last year, which is good, so.
Yeah, they've
right.
always been a little difficult because they're the really small loans. And those are usually a little harder to do. And plus, we want to try to get bank participation in those loans. And a lot of times banks, I mean, they either want to do it or not do it. But very seldom do we get a bank that calls us up saying, we'll do this loan if you guys will put in money. So anyway, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to tell a lot more bankers about the program and how it works. So.
Are there any questions? If not, is there a motion to approve the resolution?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Been moved by Director McCreary, seconded by Director Rabu. Will you poll the board, please?
Director Rabu, Director Peoples,
Aye.
Director Gleat,
Aye.
Director McCreary,
Aye.
Director Sights,
Aye.
Chair Gilbert.
Aye. Motion has been approved. The resolution has been approved. Next on the agenda is Resolution 24 LDC 16, electing directors and officers of the local development company for the 2025 term. And that's. Roger
Okay.
again.
Yes. The executive summary is the resolution asks the board to elect directors and officers to serve on the St. Louis Local Development Company, LDC, Board of Directors for the 2025 term. The background for this is Article 4 of the LDC bylaws provides that an annual meeting of the Board of Directors shall be held each December for the purpose of electing new directors and officers to the LDC board. The following individuals are seeking election to the board for a one-year term beginning January 1, 2025 and ending December 31, 2025. And those board of directors, the individuals are Laura Gilbert, James Sights, David McCreary, Don Reeves, Christopher Peebles, Ann Gleit, Rabu Ahmad, and Frederica McLeod.
There questions? I assume we checked in with everybody and they're all still willing to serve.
We were afraid to ask. We need to keep you.
Now, we did also have a part where they showed which the officers were and then also listed some non-voting officers. So I probably ought to
Yeah,
list
should
those
go on the
two.
record, yeah.
Following individuals are seeking election as officers of the board for a one-year term beginning January 1, 2025 and ending December 31, 2025. Laura Gilbert, President, James Sights, Vice President, David McQuarrie, Treasurer, Rabu Ahmad Rabi, Secretary. And then the persons listed below will continue to serve as non-voting officers of the corporation for basically just to sign and for loan closing purposes. And those would be Neil Richardson, Executive Director, Rodney Krim, Vice President, Roger Schleter, Assistant Secretary, and Zachary Folk, Assistant Secretary. And the requested action would just be approval of this resolution.
Are there any questions from anyone? If not, can I get a motion to approve the resolution of election of directors, officers, and non-voting officers?
So moved.
Second,
Second, Sights.
been moved by Director Gleat, seconded by Director Sights. Will you poll the board, please?
Director Rabu.
Aye.
Director Peoples,
Sorry about that. Aye.
Director Gleat,
Aye.
Director McCreary,
Aye.
Director Sights,
Aye.
Chair Gilbert.
Aye. Resolution passes. Okay, we're going to get to hear the status of accounts from Chris McGuire in person. We can grill him. I think everybody has it. Chris passed those out.
Y'all have those?
Yes.
And Christopher, you got it online, right? Okay. So the financials in front of you, they're for the month ending November 30th. We had $4,300 of revenue this month. We had a larger than normal expenses because we paid for some SBA legal fees. So we had $4,100 of expenses, which brought us to a small net income for the month of 176, I'm sorry, dollars. Still on that negative side, trying to work through that, but we're at on a negative fund balance of almost $96,000. We did close one loan this month, Antagonist, for $125,000. You have 58 loans in the portfolio this board serves. Over 9,600,000 in principal outstanding on those 58. And the 58 I break down for you, 40 are our in-house loans. That's the dollars that we have, that I have in the bank, that you approve, we can close the loan the next day. 18 are the SBA loans, the program that you just went through, and that's 5.1, almost $5.2 million in principal outstanding on those 18. Looking at delinquency, whether you look at loans numbers to loans delinquent to loans outstanding or principal delinquent, it's at one is 5.17% delinquent and one is 5.42% delinquent. I didn't do it again. I didn't add, we wrote off 2 months ago some loans. I did not include that in the 65. So it's 85 plus the 8 or 10 that we wrote off. But anyway, let's leave those out. 85 that we've written off since March of 01, 3.8 million in principal that we wrote off. We collected 1.1, almost 1.2 on 41 loans. 21 we actually collect the loan completely. 20 we've collected partially. So our actual loss, not including the ones that we wrote off a few months ago, is 65 loans at 2.67 million in losses. Aging is down below. As I said, 58 loans, that 3 are delinquent, 55 that are current. The second sheet is the financial statement, and there's not a whole lot of detail to it, except that the fact that I told you that we're 95 grand, 96 grand in the hole. I say it all the time. We're able to do that because you look over to the right and you see accounts payable SLDC 192. So they are patient in their collection of the fee that this board pays to them. This year is $30,000. So it goes back a few years that we owe them. As I said, 192. There's a few dollars in there for some fees that they had paid, but I just set it up as a payable. But the lion's share is the management fee that LDC pays to the SLDC board. Our next two sheets are the funds that we have that this board administers that we make loans with. And all of them, with the exception of that $3,600, the 4.2 million, loan repayments. So we've made loans, the borrowers have repaid. I have that cash sitting in the bank. So we're ready to close as loans are approved. You see the 3 that have been approved. I think we updated them last month, that 300,000. We didn't present to you any new loans this month, but should I close those 3 loans tomorrow, I'd still have close to $4 million to lend out. And the second sheet is just the type. It's all in-house loans. It's from old EDA. I break down the 2 EDA programs. One's the newer one, the COVID relief program. The old defederalized EDA. I really shouldn't even call it EDA. It's defederalized now. But those are repayments from that old program. First Bank, those are repayments from that. Metro, LDC, UEL are all loan repayments. And then the $3,600 over on the downtown parks category is some money that we got 15 years ago from a defunct downtown parks commission, and it's been sitting there. And James told me 5 years ago, maybe we should light some Christmas lights up Market Street with that money, and we have not done anything with it. The last three sheets, it's a picture of our delinquency report. It's relatively good shape because we wrote off a bunch, 2 months ago. But a few have, appeared. City Design is an old loan that will take 100 years to pay off because it was a $150,000 loan. They had some problems. They weren't paying. We got them on board to pay $150 a month. So they've been paying that for quite a while, and a couple, 3 months ago, they called and asked if they could have a moratorium on that. Leonard responded, "Send us your financials and we'll let you know." And they didn't send the financials, and their payment rejected both months. The next sheet is so those were block grant funded loan. That was a block grant funded loan. The next two are in-house non-block grant funded, so UEL and EDA. Better Weekdays is a deal that we worked out, and I don't think it worked out. I believe the borrower has filed personal bankruptcy. And then CMT, I brought it to you last month. They did not pay the November, so we just added a month to them. I don't have a whole lot of details on that. I think Daryl might have made a contact with CMT, if there's any particular questions.
I've made contacts with no success. I've reached out to credit union, and Alex is working on a meeting between me and the bar. It appears that they are paying the credit union, but they haven't been paying us.
Oh, and follow up on that. Has there been any activity on the ones we recently charged off? I know there were some we had asked for new updated financials and.
Brilliant. And
Yeah, we can't hear you.
ones that have been charged off, there hasn't been any new activity. And we see what we can get done before the next meeting, but it's the same old problem with them. We're gonna have to work with Jackie on some of these. See if they'll respond.
Well, what we can do, if it means sending them a form letter and doing it more often, let's do it. If they think we've forgotten them, they're never gonna contact us.
Yeah, the one we can't
Yeah.
find. I've looked through the credit reports, he's just not around anymore.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's some of that going on. But we'll see what we can get going again with Jackie. Send out her letter. She did send a letter to CMT with no response. Right, that's correct. So I mean, we have been trying to
Okay.
get a process in place.
Yeah, I just don't want them to think that we have forgotten them, because once we charge them off, they're not on this list for us to ask questions about. Are there any questions about the reports that Chris has given us?
I assume when we get delinquent problems arise, we're adjusting the risk rating on the loan at that time.
Did something since we wrote a bunch of them off, but there may still be an effort. Can we like revisit that every 6 months, or, have you made any progress on any of the stuff we wrote off 6 months ago?
Well, yeah, we can be more specific. That was the attempt down below when I give the total of write-offs on the first sheet. Total of write-offs, it's general, but it says how many have written off, what principal we wrote off, how much we collected, and then your net loss. So that gives you is that good enough? Is that
Well, it doesn't
effective
tell us
enough?
about the activity, the most recent ones, the ones we wrote off 25 years ago.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of chance that we're gonna get much at
Agreed.
this point on those, and there probably isn't much we can do about that. But the ones we've written off more recently, if out of sight, out of mind, if we're not, that doesn't mean they don't still owe the money and that we shouldn't keep on top of it.
And maybe just a semi-annual report on the more current write-offs.
Mm,
You know,
okay.
we've made contact with 3 of them, 2 of them we can't find at all. 1 promised to pay. This is
Got it.
how much.
Okay.
And you may have guarantors, you know, that you need around their taking.
Yeah.
Got it.
Well, and we realize that's for staff, this is not the only thing you do,
Right.
but it's also out of sight, out of mind. You don't keep on top of it if we don't keep asking questions.
And if there is a report, even if it lists them out, I mean, if nothing changed, then that's fine. If something changed, I mean, it's just one update, right? You just kind of keep a rolling report that maybe doesn't change very much. but-
We do have all of them listed over,
Yeah,
so it wouldn't be hard at all.
it'd be interesting to see at least once a year or something, whether any progress has been made on some and how many are hopeless.
And Chris
There-
continues to give us 25 years worth of data. I don't know. Nobody
That's fine, and-
does that. Banks do this year and they don't tell you the old write-offs. Once it's gone, it's gone. You've kept us on top of the number for a long time, so.
Are there any in the write-off that are hopeful at all? Are there any that we wrote off that are hopeful at all? Like any sign of, maybe you could say, these 5, we potentially could get something from them.
We'll have something for you at the next meeting. I mean,
Okay.
some things, you know, we were kind of hopeful about Urban Chestnut, but then they filed bankruptcy. We were
Yeah.
hopeful about Better Weekdays, he's filed bankruptcy. So there's been things that keep changing on us, but we'll give you a report at the next meeting.
And that's helpful too, that they've filed bankruptcy. So, all right, well,
That is not
what's
like-
next, right? Yeah.
I'm still trying to find out what's happening with St. Louis apparel manufacturing and like getting different stories in that. I mean, we're trying, but it's just that there hasn't been a whole lot of progress in the last couple of months. on this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. An update on the 504 program and other activity. Roger, you're up again.
Okay. Well, to a better note than we just had, anyway, on the 504 and the EDA, and we'll say the EDA kind of comprises the EDA and a lot of the other small loan programs. Most of those were taking a lot more interest in talking to bankers about those programs, because we haven't made those a real absolute when we talk to banks. A lot of times we're usually trying to sell the 504 program. So anyway, I talked to 2 banks this week, and I know one of them, St. Louis Bank, was really excited about that other program. The problem is sometimes they try to make deals fit that shouldn't fit in those programs. So anyway, but we should get a lot more projects to look at in the next couple months. As far as the 504, we get, I would say 99% of our deals basically come from banks. And I think Jim would attest to this too. So we really concentrate most of our marketing on banks on the SBA 504 program. And that's not to say we don't talk to chambers and talk to different groups, but I would say 99% come from banks. So we are making a lot better effort this year in 25 and the end this last couple months, since I don't know about your businesses, but right now we're not having a whole lot of people run in with loans right now. I'm sure they will in January and February. So we're taking a lot more time to call up banks and say, if we can get an appointment and go ahead and make sure they understand, what all the requirements are, and understand how this can benefit their bank and how it can benefit their borrowers. So we are doing that, and mainly with banks. And then we're really talking about both programs. And I know we've been a little bit, at least I haven't in the past, I've usually really hit on the 504, but I have not hit on the other program as much, because in a real typical EDA project, we're supposed to have bank participation. We're supposed to create jobs. And there's a whole lot of things in there that a lot of these small deals you really don't have. Sometimes the bank will say, we're not going to do it, but here, do it on your program. And we very seldom get, I want to do this deal. Would you participate with me? They usually just don't do that. So, but we're going to make a better effort to have that done and to talk to them and get a lot more deals in the first part of this year. And also in the 504, we're going to talk to banks. And I think I've talked to 4 this last 2 weeks and talked to a lot more banks, especially during this period where a lot of people are in the office, either in the office or they're out, maybe out of town. But still, I think it's a good time to catch them in the office. So we are going to make a real concerted effort this year to pump up the 504 program and to talk to a lot more banks about the program. And we do have quite a bit of loans going to close in the next year. We've got quite a few that are actually in construction right now. So we do have to finish the construction. And a lot of those tend to kind of drag out for a while. But we do have quite a few deals that are in process right now and that are going to close in the next year, year and a half.
Great.
Okay, any questions or?
Want to fish where the fish are, right?
That's right, and they're at the banks. I guarantee it.
No
So-
need to fish out where they might be.
Right, absolutely. So anyway, we are, and a lot of the banks, I mean, you do have to contact them because you think a lot of the bankers. I mean, Jim's bank is probably, Lindell Bank has probably is one of the ones that's very consistent with their people. I mean, people stay there for 20 years, 30 years. Whereas some of the other banks, the bank I went to today, I mean, about 3 or 4 of the people I used to know are gone, and they're gone in the last 6 months. So you do have to get back with them and talk to them about, who the bankers are. And usually we try to find out where they went so we can, talk to them then too and get other referrals. So,
Some of the bigger banks have divisions or people who focus on SBA specifically. Sometimes they're not even here. How
Right.
do we try to make some inroads
well,
with those?
probably the biggest bank that we do get a lot of deals from would be US Bank. We get, and maybe it's our fault for not talking to them more, but a lot of times, Bank of America is not, they don't seem to do a lot of 504s. When I was in Jefferson County, I did one with Bank of America, and I basically worked with probably 5 different people at that bank, which were all in different parts of the country to do different things. So it's a lot harder to do deals with a lot of them. Citicorp, I don't think we've ever done a deal with them. I don't know. They're very hard, but we'll try. But I mean, our bread and butter is your, I hate to say smaller banks because Lindell's getting bigger every day, but banks like Lindell, banks, there's quite a few other banks in St. Louis Bank. There's a lot of banks they're not really huge, but they make their money off of doing real estate loans, with single owner, not projects they're going to rent out. These are actually, they use the property. So that's really kind of where we spend the most of our time. But we will try to talk to some of the larger ones also.
Any other questions or comments?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Do we have any other business?
We did close and fund one SBA loan that funded yesterday, so.
We did close an SBA loan yesterday, so that'll be on next month's report. Good. Good. And the numbers at the bottom will get updated. All right. If there's nothing else, can we get a motion to adjourn?
Let them know when your next
Oh,
meeting.
our next meeting is next month. January 9th, so it's early in the month because of the way it falls. So next meeting will be Thursday, January 9th at 3 p.m.
I do have a question about that too. Are there going to be future meetings in person? Or are we going all the way back to virtual? Does anybody know?
I think it's kind of up to the board. What would you?
Do we want to be in person?
Can we do it quarterly?
Yeah, I really feel like we get more when we're in person and we get
I
to
do
see
too.
each other. Depending on the number of resolutions we have, or if we have something that's technical, or, you know, it's better to be in person. But I'm not against a short meeting when there's a short agenda. But it would be nice to get together quarterly or periodically, just when we can. When there's not a hockey game.
Yeah. It may be snowing next month. We can meet
Yeah.
virtually next month and then think
Yeah,
about
yeah,
February when
yeah.
it comes.
Yeah, let's plan on virtual next month, since January weather is unpredictable, and we'll sort of plan from there, see what we got on the agenda.
Maybe we can talk to Chris Peoples too, to see how the hybrid worked, if he was able to hear everything, or, you know. if
Yeah.
it's a good option for people.
Yeah, hybrid is an option for a lot of boards I'm on, but you know, sometimes when that hybrid is too easy, you end up with everybody there. Appreciate it. Rodney, you're with us on the screen. Do you have anything to add?
No, just happy holidays to everyone, and thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded. Everyone in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.